Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. It is 3.16 teaser season, day 2, and today we got one little teaser plus a promise of more to come. So, firstly, let's just quickly mention the promise of more to come, and that is that tomorrow there will be a whole bunch of information about the 3.16 changes to Flasks and ailment mitigation. So, we will get all of that information tomorrow. That will probably be one of the most significant pieces of information in the whole first week. Today, though, let's talk Chayula's Flawless Breachstone. So this is a standalone teaser. All we got really is this image. So, the thing that's been discussed a lot by players over on the Path of Exile subreddit and on the Path of Exile official forums, people are, in my belief, erroneously assuming that these will replace Chayula's Pure Breachstones as the XP run of choice. So, why do I think this isn't the case? The only difference between a Flawless Breachstone and a Pure Breachstone that we know about so far from an XP perspective is that the monster level is 84. Otherwise, from an XP perspective, these encounters are the same. And how much difference is there between monster level 84 and 83 in XP, you might be thinking? Most people intuitively think it's quite a lot. There's sharp diminishing returns that kick in when you massively outlevel a zone, and most people think that these sort of continue to function the same way that they do at low level. So you really notice if you've got a level 68 character and you go into a monster level 59 zone, you'll notice tremendously different XP between the 59 zone and if you jumped into a 60. And also if you jumped into a 61, you'd notice the 61 gave you enormously more XP. And that is caused by the way that the diminishing returns formula works for XP when you overlevel a zone. However, there's a thing that kicks in when you are sort of massively talking about endgame content, and these were detailed, the information was written up in a development manifesto back in 2.3.0. So this is a development manifesto called 2.3.0 Changes to the High Level Experience Equation. Although it's from 2016, it's still current. And the key thing that it outlines here is the way that monster level for a zone does not influence the effective level for purposes of the XP equation in the way that you might think it does. There is a diminishing returns on monster level when it comes to the XP formula, and the changes are tiny at very high level. So you'll see here that monster level 80, which is a Chayula standard Breachstone, the game treats it, for purposes of the XP formula, as level 76.7. Monster level 81, 77.04, 82, 77.32, 83, 77.54, and 84 as 77.7. We don't know what 85 and 86 are. You could possibly extrapolate it out, just assuming that this is a quadratic curve, which is what it looks like. And you could make a reasonable assumption based upon that as to the fact that 85 would probably be 77.8 and that 86 would be 77.84. However, that's speculative. This information here is known. And what's really important here is that there is such a tiny difference between level 83 and 84 that I don't think that the extra difficulty of a Chayula's Flawless Breachstone over a Pure Breachstone is justified by XP alone. So, what sort of challenges are you looking at here? You have 250% more monster life. Additionally, just by virtue of being one zone level higher than a Chayula's Pure Breachstone, you also have 15% more multiplier to life. Approximately speaking, adding one monster level to a zone adds 15% to monster life, bosses and trash, and adds 4.5% to monster damage. It does also add 3% base XP roughly, so you will get 3% more XP for running a Flawless Stone over a Pure, but I don't think that justifies the considerable increase in difficulty. Now you have this area has 4 additional random modifiers. This replaces the 18% increased damage that is found on a Chayula's Pure Breachstone, and it's a doozy. These 4 random modifiers actually look like 6 modifiers in this list. So these 6 modifiers are 50% monster fire resist, monsters poison on hit, monsters deal 98% added physical damage as fire, all monster damage from hits always ignites, Monsters deal 52% extra physical damage as Chaos, and monster damage penetrates 10% of Chaos resistance. This is a lot of extra damage that you're getting here. And because this is only 4 mods but looks like 6, that means there's some pretty fiendishly nasty mods that are present here as hybrid mods. And so I speculate, and I could be wrong on this, that Monsters Poison on hit and that monster damage penetrates 10% of Chaos resistance, that this is one hybrid mod. But I could very well be wrong. It could be some other combination that's the hybrid mod. Then, for doing this extra difficulty, you get one reward that we know about, and this is this rare monsters drop 2 additional reward types. Now, most people that read this assume that this is a Legion Star reward, and that is certainly what I thought at first. However, this is it has much more in common with the synthesis reward mods that are found on maps like the Cortex, and also the 4 lesser synthesis maps. So these reward types will be these lines. Rare Breach monsters drop an additional divination card. Rare Breach monsters have 50% chance to drop an additional map. These will be high variance, but there will be some things, because the item level of these items will be 86, they're dropping from rare monsters in a monster level 84 zone, so 2 above the zone level. There'll be some things that are really good that can drop here. If you were to get rare monsters drop influenced items, that will have a lot of potential, even if the percentage chance to get an influence item is low. And who knows what else there'll be. Rare monsters dropping a cluster jewel, for instance, could be really good, because cluster jewels get much stronger when they hit when they hit item level 84. So there's lots of potential for these to be better than just a divination card and half a map at each rare monster you kill. Additionally, though, I think one thing you're going to need to keep in mind when running these Flawless Breachstones is that 250% more monster life is going to mean that killing some of the rare monsters will take a little while. Rare monsters are key to the timer in Breachstones, and they've become a non-factor because of the sort of tremendous amount that player damage has scaled over the last sort of 10 or so expansions. Even with 3.15 dialing that back a bit, player damage to monsters is tremendously higher than it was back at the time that Breach was new, for instance. At the time that Breach was new, Chayula's standard Breachstones, players had to be very careful that they killed the regular monsters quickly and then focused a little bit of time on killing the rare monsters because they extended the timer. And this is probably going to be back with the Flawless Stones. I don't think that most builds, even really top-end ones, will be one-shotting the rare monsters in these zones, especially if there's map mods or breach zone mods or whatever you want to call these, that make the monsters more tanky. Additionally, we have no information on what Chayula's loot table looks like. GGG have no set precedent that they follow here. So, for instance, if you look at Atsuri, there is a normal Atsuri and an Uber Atsuri encounter. They have entirely different loot tables. There is just nothing in common between the two of them. Well, with the exception of the newly added Ring Triumvirate Authority, where the Uber version has one more mod than the normal version. But if you look at some of the other content in the game, like Breachstones, the enriched versions, such as Chayula's Charge Breachstone, Enriched Breachstone, and Pure Breachstone, they have the same loot table as the standard Chayula Breachstone, but with higher numbers on them. What I kind of want to see here is that Chayula drops the same items but with higher stats. So, for instance, if you were to get Skin of the Loyal from Uber Chayula, I'd like to see it be 110% global defenses or something like that. Not something that's a huge power up from the base item, but something that if you wanted to use the base item already, you would definitely want to upgrade it. If and when you're able to, you would want to upgrade it to this flawless version. That said, that's just my opinion, and who knows what we'll end up seeing. So that's Chayula's Flawless Breachstones and what we've got from day 2. If you've got comments or questions, definitely fire away below. If you want a link, just check down in the description below. There'll be a link to the 2.3.0 experience points changes. So that'll give you some information on exactly why it is that 2.3.0 changed the value of the XP on these to the point that they're not going to be meaningfully better than a pure stone unless there's something we don't know about. Otherwise, may your Val Orbs have interesting results.